This is 5 steps to making an aquatic, self-sustaining ecosystem sealed inside of a jar. That means no water changes, no maintenance, and no feeding. It sounds impossible and crazy, but let me show you how I've done it in the past. The first step is to get a plan together and understand how it all works. Come look at my goofy drawing. This is our jar, and in order for this thing to be self-sustaining, we need a couple of things. Most importantly, we need light. Light to enter the jar and to hit the plants and algae, which photosynthesize, absorb harmful nutrients, and also produce oxygen. We also need sediment for nutrients for the plants. We also need water, obviously, and an air gap at the top. If everything in our jar is just right, it will all work together and become a self-sustaining ecosystem. This jar has been sealed for almost 4 years. I haven't opened it, and there's still tons of life inside of the jar. What I'm trying to say is that it is possible to make this work. I've seen it and done it. Look at everything swimming around in this jar after 4 whole years. Step 2 is to get together all the supplies that you need and to figure out ahead of time what jar and light you'll be using. Remember, the most important part is the light. Without light, there's no ecosystem. Since we're making our jar at a pond or a lake, you'll need to come prepared. So here's a list of everything that I like to take. I like to bring some rubber boots so I don't get my feet wet, your jar, obviously, a small net for grabbing things, a shovel, scissors, long aquascaping tweezers. I have an extra seal for my jar, a cup, and a rag. And I load it all up in a backpack. For the jar, I like ones that are large with a glass lid, but don't be afraid to use what you have on hand. A lot of people have these ball jars. They're very common. The most important part is just to make sure that they have an airtight seal. If you have the option, always go for the bigger jar. Larger water volume creates a more stable environment. If you're not able to buy a jar, then go check your pantry. You might find something like this. I'll drop a link in the description if you want to pick up a jar like this. Once you have your jar figured out, it's now time to figure out the light. You have 2 options. A window seal with indirect light, or a timer with an LED light. Having a window seal with indirect light, in my opinion, is the better option because you're able to set it and forget about it. If you do choose to use an LED light on a timer, I really like these ones that clip on the back of the jar with a magnet. I think they look great. Step 3 is to find a natural waterway. The best place to make an ecosphere is from a pond or a lake, like this one behind me here. Ecospheres made at the ocean, rivers, streams, they all fail because the water is stagnant inside of our jar and it doesn't replicate the natural environment well enough. I traveled to several lakes and ponds to find the best spot. This cove would have been a great spot for an ecosphere. You're looking for a slow-moving, shallow part of the lake, but I like this smaller pond a little better. So we're gonna make our ecosphere at this pond right here. Step 4 is to make the ecosphere. We're gonna start by collecting about 1 inch of sediment inside of our jar. Let's do it. You wanna get a little bit off the top, but you also wanna get some a little bit lower. We're trying to capture 2 different species of bacteria, aerobic and anaerobic bacteria. The top sediment layer is the biologically active zone where decomposition and nutrient cycling is occurring. It's different from the deeper, more compact anoxic layer below, and we need both. Once we have about 1 inch or 2 of sediment, now it's time to move on to the next step. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's an easy way to help our channel grow and reach new people. The next step of the process is to find algae and plants. Plants will not be a problem here. This tank is full of them, but I had to hunt to find some algae. This algae is growing on these sticks, which I found over there. And here's a little clump of some kind of algae. If you know, please tell me in the comments. Let's add it to the jar. What makes a lot of people skeptical of this working is that the jar is sealed. People are worried there isn't enough oxygen to support life. But remember, the jar is filled with plants and algae that produce oxygen. Without these plants and algae, there would be no ecosystem. A little deeper out, I found another kind of plant we'll add to the jar, but I got my boots a little wet. Right here close to the bank where the water is the shallowest is where a lot of small microfauna are hiding. I'm gonna scare them up and then try to scoop up as many as I can with the cup. We caught a whole bunch of them. I can see them swimming all around in the bottom of the cup. When we're scooping up these microfauna, there's certain things we're trying to avoid. One of those is dragonfly larvae. I'll put a picture up on the screen right now. Also snails and other larger creatures. These will not be able to survive inside of our jar and will only make it harder for it to live long term. Now that we've seeded our jar with several scoops of microfauna, we want to go out to the deepest part we can get to and scoop up clean water off the top. Once we have the jar full of water, we'll leave about 2 to 3 inches of air for an air gap, and then we'll seal it up. And just like that, we're done. The first time I ever made an ecosphere was because my brother had made one years ago, and we always looked at it in the windowsill and we could not believe how long it had been since we sealed the jar and things were still alive inside of it. Ever since then, I wanted to figure out how we can make them and to make videos about it to show you all about it. Let's get this thing home. It's best not to shake the jar while you're transporting it home, but mine did fall over on its side. It's not ideal, but hopefully it'll be all right. It's been 2 full months since I put our ecosphere on this windowsill, and I've completely ignored it, which is step 5, leave it alone. Over the past 2 months, my wife had a baby and we have been extremely preoccupied. But now, finally, I'm back to the jar, and really, I was pretty disappointed looking at it. There's a lot of things that made me think that it had crashed, but if you look inside, it's actually doing better than it looks. I used this microscope camera to get a good up-close look at everything going on inside of the jar. They're really cheap on Amazon. If you want to pick one up, I'll put a link in the description. So come look at this. Seeing this makes me so excited. There's a lot going on in our ecosphere. So far, I've seen several species that all look to be doing very well. There's lots of ostracods, worms, copepods, and more. There's also a cool creature called a hydra. They extend their tentacles to catch prey. One of them's on the screen now. I think the ostracods are the most fun to watch. They swim around all day and look for food. If you end up making your own ecosphere, come back and comment what you've caught. I would love to hear about it. These things are not easy to make. I've had a lot of them that just didn't work out. You really have to get everything just right for it to last. A million different things can go wrong with an ecosystem like this, such a small one inside of a jar. So if it doesn't work out the first time, don't be discouraged and try again. If you liked this video, I know you'll like this one next.